Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome and thank you so much for joining me this evening on the In Review. Thank you for those joining on Instagram, those on Facebook, those on YouTube, and those in the different worlds. Yeah. Well, anyhow, it's a Thursday night. I just came back from the road a while ago and pick up my son from tracks, and it's very windy outside there. Very windy day. I went to the park this morning. Very chilly as well. But one of the most important thing is that I was able to, spend some time and just really chill. And I think it is so very important that one actually able to take time for yourself. One of the things that I said um, a couple of years ago, and that was during the advent of the COVID. You remember COVID, that killer, that mafia, that scammer that tried to wreck people's lives. Uh, I said something that whatever that you're doing during the period of the COVID, whatever is it that you are doing to trying to keep, or your coping mechanism is to keep it going. And for myself, one of the things that I had purpose to do was to do all the different walking and the motivational talk and all those sort of things, and and that's been good. And I purpose in myself that I'll keep doing it no matter what. Let it be a lifetime thing, if you know what I'm trying to say. So yeah, so today went out again, but it's been a very challenging week. And I say challenging week because, of course, when you got cases and things you got to do for court, one of the thing is that time is so time is the essence of everything, and you try to find time in doing things. You try to find time in able to fit things into all the different things that you want to do. Yeah. And I'm just sharing this video here, sharing this thing. Please like and share. Simone Sweet, Fantia Jew, But listen, it's I don't know if Gary's gonna come on or so, but always say let the show go on, let the music play, no matter what, things must go on. Uh, the, I don't know what I could start with. I could start with anything. Could start with the football, um, which is great stuff, but I'm not a footballer. um, I'm one of those. I'm one of the few persons that don't play around with balls. you know, um, so I'm not so much of a football person. But it's exciting what's going on there in the World Cup. There are a few upset, they said, but one thing is strong to me was I was watching a video. Well, it wasn't a video. I was watching a documentary on television, and it was about this lady. This lady who actually she have three sons. Her name is Sarah Sands, and I'm just gonna put it up there, Sarah Sands, because I found it very interesting and what people would say about this, and what if it was you in a situation like this. Sarah Sands, where is she? Sarah Sands, there she is. Hmm. Let me take off the music. Sarah Sands, mom killed our abuser. It didn't stop the nightmares. Mom killed our abuser. It didn't stop the nightmares. And the story as it goes is that 8 years ago, Sarah Sands stabbed a convicted pedophile to death. Um, and for the first time, they were speaking on BBC. Her three sons tell BBC News they were all sexually abused by him and how they feel now about their mother's crime. What happened is that this man came into the community and the actually friend of the family, friend of the mother, good friend, elderly chap. You have nice guys out there, nice elderly gentlemen with your family, them neighbors, people are all nice. But beyond that face, there's something else, the trust factor. And and what was interesting is that this gentleman actually, invited the boys over to his apartment, invited them over to the apartment to look at some to help him fix some carpet or so, and he sexually molested them. I don't know to what extent that he sexually molested them. And and what was interesting is the fact that the mother actually, found out about it. And as I said, on an autumn night in 2014, Sarah Sand left her East London masonette with a hood pulled over her head. She, armed with a knife, she walked to a neighboring block of flats to the home of the elderly man. Once there, she stabbed Michael Bliss 8 times in what was later described as determined and sustained attacks. He bled to death. I think she spent some time in court, in prison. Her eldest son, Bradley, was 12 at the time, waived his right to anonymity last year to reveal the abuse. And an interview with BBC News, his younger twin brothers, Alfie and Reese, have now done the same. They were 11 when their mother killed the man accused of abusing them. As young adults, now aged 19 and 20, they remembered when, as children, they learned what their mother had done. I think the point I'm trying to say right here is that here these children were there, and here this mother was there with this man who they trusted. Trusted is a factor, they trust. And during the course of that time, he abused them. Not fast forward, but link this now with the case which is happening Walmart. I don't know where I got Walfords from. I was thinking about Halfords, but I was in a live I mentioned Walfords. It's Walmart. Walmart now, this guy who's apparently is a manager went and he killed some members of his staff, you know, 10 members of staff or maybe more now. I don't know. Position of trust. There was a position of trust that they were in. The manager, yep. Position of trust was this man as well, the abuser. One thing I want to point out about the abuser that he changed his name, and actually he was a convicted pedophile. He was on the sex offenders register, and they didn't know. So she's actually wanting to change that thing whereby these guys are known. The key thing is what I was thinking about this morning while I was walking was that when you trust people sometimes, or when you trust anyone, that doesn't mean to say that you'll be safe. Or even if you're walking down the road and you trust the world or you trust things around you, that doesn't mean to say you're going to be safe. I even go further by talking about this girl named Shanquella Robinson. Shanquella Robinson. That's another one as well. Very interesting case. The funny thing about it is that I'm laughing because there's a guy, a mate of mine, who sent me the beating or while they were having this fight and the picture before when it went in the initial stage. And I said to him, can't bother seeing another of these fighting bits and pieces there. There must be more to life than showing these videos. But anyway, there she is. Shanquella Robinson. Shanquella Robinson. And the thing about Shanquella Robinson is that she traveled to a resort town of San Jose del Mexico with 6 university friends for a week-long stay in a luxury apartment on October the 28th. Within 24 hours of their arrival, she was dead. Miss Robinson's friend delivered her suitcase to her heartbroken parents, Bernard and Salamandra, in Charlotte, North Carolina, and claimed she had died of poison or something of that nature. Yep, claimed she had died of that. Position of trust. There she was with her friends in a position of trust. And there, I'm not saying that they killed her, you know. I'm saying that or the right term is the alleged that they killed her. Position of trust with our friends. Position of trust with the Walmart killer. Position of trust with this man who sexually abused the boys. And the only thing that came to me was, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. For thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. How do you trust? You know, and you still have to trust, you know, can't walk around in fear. Well, these are some really sad news which are out there, some sad situations in this world, and we've got to really look out for that. So I just wanted to flag that up because those are some very key things. But then again, another one which really was shocking was the Nottingham fire. Man charged with murder of mom and daughters. Now look at this picture here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just grabbing a few things which somehow grabbed me today. I mean it's everything which is happening in the world. I mean it's everything regarding the I'm trying to find that image there. Da, 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 da. Man charge, yeah. With football, what we are seeing here now is this: a man has been charged with the murder of a mother and their two daughters, who all died after a flat fire. 1-year-old Naimia Jama and Fatima Jama, age 3, were taken to hospital but later died after the fire in Furley's Close, Clifton, Nottingham on Sunday morning. Mother, 28-year-old, was put on life support machine but died on Tuesday. Joint investigation by Nottinghamshire Police and Nottinghamshire Fire and Rescue Service conclude that the fire was started deliberately. Mr. Barr was arrested on Sunday, and police were granted additional time to question him before he was charged with 3 counts of murder. Assistant Chief Constable Rob Griffin, Nottinghamshire Police, said, "Our thoughts remain with the family. A team of detectives have been working relentlessly alongside specialist search units and forensic experts to understand the full circumstance behind this deliberate fire." The husband and father of the victims, Mr. Drama, was out of the country at the time of the fire. In a statement released through police, he said his wife was a very happy, bubbly woman who wouldn't have the heart to hurt a fly. It's crazy. Beautiful children. Nottingham man charged with murder of mom and daughters. It's a it's a sad but very interesting world that we live in. The cost of living, which is creating rumpus and creating an effect and a pandemic of another nature upon people, um, with the thoughts of strike by the public service union, strike by the nurses, strike by the postal service, everyone wanting to get a bite of a cherry. Government said, actually, we don't have it, you know. But it's a kind of, but at the same time, you know, when you look at it, one has to say, well, what do we do? And my philosophy is that everything which is happening today, everything which is happening around us, are things somewhat maybe have happened before in another time, in another season, in another reason, and somebody else have a way out. Recessions, people go through recessions. And when people go through recessions, two things happen: you either fail or you succeed. Some succeed. Why do they succeed? And some fail. Why do they fail? What is the secret? There must be a secret in everything. There must be a way how things can be achieved. And that is things that I believe it is so crucial that one look at. And and even if we move over and I'm just jumping on different things here, because they say that the UK net migration hits all-time record at 504,000, and 90% of persons from Ukraine, who came to the UK, I think over 400,000, have settled in, and the government find resources for them. Which is the point is that there's always money. There's always money for things. For war, they always find the money. UK net migration hit 504,000, ladies and gentlemen. UK net migration 504,000. Let me show it here. Where is it? Net migration. Boom. 504,000. I was a part of that migration figure once. I came to the UK. I'm sure many people were part of that migration figure once. So one cannot link out against that because we're all somewhat of a product, a byproduct of immigration to some extent, or directly or indirectly. They said 504,000 in the year to June, the highest figure ever recorded. The Office for National Statistics. And the rise is driven by people arriving legally from outside the EU and the resumption of post pandemic travel. Reception of Afghan and Ukraine refugees and people from Hong Kong are other factors. The government has promised to cut net migration, the difference between the numbers entering and leaving the UK. Today's figures will intensify debates over the role of overseas workers in the UK economy and wide labor market. Weeks after the Home Secretary Suella Braverman said she wanted to ensure a repeatedly missed government target to reduce net migration below 100,000. I think that's not going to work. David Cameron, I believe, talk about it. Everybody talk about it, but I don't think that's going to work. You know, the aim set by the former Prime Minister, see, David Cameron, supported Theresa May, was dropped by Boris Johnson, who said he would not reduce the level while ensuring businesses had access to the skills they need. Home Secretary Suella Braverman said the record numbers were understandable given the circumstances in Ukraine, Afghanistan, and Hong Kong, and the generosity of the British people. But the public rightly expect us to control our borders, and we remain committed to reduce migration over time, she said. Ms. Braverman, Home Secretary, said the current level of migration was putting pressure on accommodation and housing supply, as well as health, education, and other public services. There it is. There's a figure right there before our eyes. And one cannot stop. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, this world that we live in is all for us. It's a big world, and everybody has a part to play in this big space. This big space is not just for countries by themselves, but everyone falls part of the country. Everyone falls part of this world. Everyone part of the system, and it will never change. You know, persons from the African continent will always come to Europe, just like our persons from the European continent will always go to Africa. That's why persons from the Caribbean will always come to the UK, and persons from the UK or the US always go to the Caribbean. That's what we're living in now. You know, I understand that nurses are moving in droves from Africa to go to the Caribbean because the 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 Europe and UK and USA like Caribbean nurses. So those Caribbean nurses, those African nurses, when they're trained up, will eventually move towards America and Europe. And therefore, Caribbean nurses are also moving to Europe and to America. But at the same time, I'm understanding sometimes they get a rude awakening based on what they come up with. But that's always will happen when you come on to migration. Some will stay, some will go. Should I stay? Should I go? And that's the hallmark of it. But migration will live forever. People will always go. But nevertheless, still, it is understandable that one still has to maintain their borders, and that is something which which should happen. And finally, I wanted to touch on Wendy Morton. Do you remember that time when the Prime Minister Liz Truss and the fracking, when they had the fracking that time, and there was this big hoo-ha that some MPs were pulled aside, were pushed, were bullied, that they had to somehow let me see if I can find it. Where is it? Wendy Morton. Yes, there she is. Yes, someone's pushed aside. Someone's saying that, hey, we not gonna vote for fracking. And Liz just wanted to show some sort of you know, come on, let us put up this video here. This I won't put the video. Wendy Morton said, I'll never forget the chaotic vote that sank Liz Truss. Former Chief Whip Wendy Morton handed in her resignation to Liz Truss after a chaotic vote that eventually led to the PM's downfall, she has revealed. Ms. Truss refused to accept Ms. Morton's resignation as she battled to hold her government together. But the PM stepped down the following when it became clear she had lost the confidence of her MPs. One of those nights, it was one of those nights, as Louis Armstrong said, it was one of nights, it was one of those days or something like that. And she said she was tasked with ensuring Tory MPs voted with the government, but many had refused to do so on the evening of 19th of October because they opposed mistrust policy on fracking. MPs had been told it amounted to confidence vote in the government in an effort to get them in line. So they linked the fracking with confidence to say that is what for this trust. That's what I took. That's why I took the stance that I did as chief whip. Ms. Morton said we were expecting colleagues to be in the lobby with us, but there was confusion over whether it was really a confidence vote, and the disarray that followed, including claims Tory MPs were being bullied by ministers into backing the government, proved to the beginning of the end for Ms. Truss' short-lived premiership, right? And she was a key political ally of the Prime Minister, former Prime Minister Liz Truss. Crazy days, crazy politics, crazy time, you know? And yeah, so I just wanted to drop that in. As for the football, I'm sure many people are enjoying the football, enjoy the football as much as possible. I will tune in definitely when it is at the last goal, semifinals, and reach the end result because I hate series show. I don't have the stamina to watch shows. I watch soap and all those other things where you got to glued. You just want to free yourself. That's why I always find it fascinating when someone don't have a mobile phone or someone don't have social media and they're not in that world. And I have to shake your hands because man, you are fantastic and you're great without having all of those encumbrance and things around it. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, have a good night. Have a beautiful what should I say? Thursday evening. See you Saturday night. Talk and sip. Those on Instagram, those on Facebook. And as I said before, at the incidents of trust, but it's not trust, it is trust. Yea, that I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. Rod and thy staff, they comfort me. He prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow you all the days of your life. You shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever and ever. Amen. Have a good night. God bless you. Peace out. Bye bye.